But first, check this out. FSU's Terrence Mann going up high for the one-handed putback slam.
Look, let me see this again. Young fellow with the good hair. I think this might be the wrong video. However, it's still a nice dunk.
Sixers Pelicans, Ben Simmons. Watch it.
This one is the right video.
To evade the defender before making the easy layup.
Hello,
Ben
around the
Simmons.
world, see?
He is a great defensive player. And, man, you got to get to your spot on the court. That's him. Inside the restricted zone. He's nasty inside the restricted.
Got some Suns and Heat.
Boom.
Wade spinning through the defense, hitting the up and under layup.
Man, the time machine was working last night. D-Wade, Noah. I mean, it was in full effect. And the cornrows that he's got in his hair.
What's D-Wade doing with the hair?
Oh, man, he's trying to get younger, man.
We got to talk to Gabby.
You marry a younger woman, everything, it happens, man.
I think he married an older woman.
Moving on to Antonio Brown.
I'm correct.
If I were a betting girl, I'd put my money on the disgruntled wide receiver not playing for the Steelers next season. He wants a trade, and he has hinted at possible destinations. One of those hints, his Instagram post photoshopped in a 49ers jersey. Right now, the Niners are the betting favorite at a landing spot if Brown is moved, with teams like the Saints and Packers not far behind. Stacey, what do you think? What's the most likely landing spot for Antonio Brown?
I think San Francisco is one of the landing spots, but if you listen to some of the information coming out of Pittsburgh, you know, because there's tremendous restriction they're putting on trading a very, very valuable commodity. They're not going to trade him to New England. They're not going to trade him to anyone in the NFC, AFC North, and they prefer not to trade him to anyone in the AFC. So, yeah, we can keep drawing things up of where he might end up, who has draft picks and everything. But I think that San Francisco will be among the teams that right now they're in a pressure situation. Like they got to be able to get some playmakers for Jimmy Garoppolo, for him to be as efficient and get their money's worth from him as a quarterback. So I think San Francisco is one of the spots. I also look for Tampa Bay. You know, Deshaun Jackson. He's not happy there. They're going to get him out. Bruce Arians coming into town. He's had experience with Antonio. So I look for Tampa Bay to be a part of it. The Colts might be a part of it. The Jets might be a part of it. So I think there are a couple landing spots for him that I believe, but Kyle Shanahan, I believe in San Francisco, is the most likely spot today for him to land up.
Okay, so if we just want to cross out New England, we know he'd be deadly in New England, but they don't want to trade in New England, understandably. We want to cross out the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns because they're AFC North teams. Every other team is at least potentially a viable option. The reality is every other team in the league would be a good fit for Antonio Brown because he's that type of player. Take the Kansas City Chiefs with the third highest scoring offense ever. You know what? He could help them because he can help everybody. Or the Oakland Raiders, who seem to be a mess offensively.
Regardless of quarterbacks?
Yeah, I believe he fits anywhere.
Well, this is the thing. I don't believe he fits anywhere because he's been targeted on average 10 to 15 times a game. He has played in dynamic offenses that were typically spread offenses where they had three receivers on the field. He has had the luxury to be able to have the flexibility inside the system of Pittsburgh that he could freelance an awful lot. What you find out in free agency is you find out a lot of things that they don't tell you before you sign the contract. So for me, I'm apprehensive. But if he doesn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback, I believe you will see more outburst like we saw in Pittsburgh later in his career. If they don't have three receivers on the field where he has the flexibility to be able to play multiple positions, you will see a guy get frustrated like we saw in Pittsburgh. And if he's not prime time, if he's not playing in the big games, how is he going to react? So thinking he's a no-brainer for the other 31 teams, we'd be very, very naive, all right? We're mostly system players. This is not a guy that can go to any system and to be able to play well. How would he do well in Jacksonville? Well, they run the ball. They run the ball an awful lot. Tom Coughlin overseeing that. They're a little more strict, a little more firm there. How would that work out? So I believe that there are better landing spots for AB than others.
I totally agree. There's a hierarchy of ideal and not ideal for Antonio Brown. The point I was making is every team in the league, in my opinion, gets better when you add a player of his caliber. But if we were trying to fit the puzzle pieces together, Chris mentioned one of them in the Colts, where they have cap space, they have extra draft picks, and I believe T.Y. Hilton is an okay #1 receiver, but would be a dynamic #2. But there's another one that is in the NFC, that has the Hall of Fame quarterback, that has the extra draft capital, that has the cap space, and that wants to win right now.
Green Bay.
And that's Green Bay. And now we know he can play in cold weather. Now I understand Pittsburgh's not as cold as Green Bay, but it's not like he's been playing his career in a dome. We also know that he's thrived with a Hall of Fame quarterback. We also know Green Bay has, I believe, more of a urgency right now than they have in recent years. That is a spot that I think every piece fits. For the Steelers, you don't worry about it because they're cross-conference.
Right.
For AB, they play a lot of the 3 wide receiver set you're talking about, C. You're going to have a quarterback, one of the few guys in the league in my eyes, that would actually be a clear step up from Ben Roethlisberger. There's a lot of boxes checked with the Green Bay Packers to go along with. They can trade a first-round pick and still have a first-round pick in reserve.
Okay, what about this question? The one guy that you guys have not mentioned at all is Mike Tomlin. How much is he going to need a coach who's going to be able to understand how to deal with him, his on-field stuff, his off-field stuff, the way Mike Tomlin was able to do? Or maybe he's thinking he wasn't able to do it.
Well, the locker room is a huge locker room. I believe that Antonio, once he's traded, he'll be motivated. He'll be motivated because he's still trying to get a new contract. And there's certain things as far as football players and him getting to the job, working, doing that. He's going to put his best foot forward. Man, Antonio, it's like Randy Moss when he left Oakland. Man, when he went to New England, that wasn't the Randy Moss they got. They didn't have to worry about him not being on time, him not running the right route, him freelancing, some of the things that people had said about him before he got there. So I believe on Antonio, he will have a career check on this, and he will make sure that he's doing all the right thing, because that's the way he used to do things in Pittsburgh before he became a big-time star.
But that's Bill Belichick. There aren't a lot of Bill Belichicks, a lot of players that will actually change who they are, how they do things because of the head coach. Do you think that factors in at all? When you think the quarterback factors in, does the head coach as well?
I think it's similar to the Le'Veon Bell discussion we had, which is it depends on the type of locker room you have, as far as is he going to, the moment he gets there, become a de facto leader face of the team, or do you already have those people in place via your coach or your quarterback? I want to throw one wild card team at UCC, because this doesn't, by the way, they don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback. They got a young quarterback. They don't have a Hall of Fame coach. They got a first-year coach. But what they do have is the #1 pick of the draft in the Arizona Cardinals. If they trade back, if they decide we're not taking a quarterback, obviously, at #1, our best value is to get a bunch of extra draft picks for a team that wants to trade up to get Haskins or Kyler or whomever the #1 player is. When you have Larry Fitzgerald there in his final year, you have a quarterback in Josh Rosen that they are trying to build around, but obviously needs a lot of help. You have the warm indoor climate in Arizona. Is that, to you, more of a combustible situation, or a situation with Fitzy there that could work out quite well?
Well, I'm not going to say it's a more combustible situation. He's not competitive. Arizona's not going to be competitive. Is that the type of environment that he wants to go in to try to finish his career? He's in love with social media. He's in love with the gram. He showed up to training camp in a helicopter. Like, is that really what the Arizona Cardinals need with a new, unproven coach? That, I mean, if there's going to be a question about control when you have Cliff Kingsbury and his young age taking over NFL locker room. He wasn't successful in college. So I don't think Steve Keim, the general manager, because he has taken some chances on some players, I don't think that that's the type of gift you want to give Larry Fitzgerald in his last season to bring Antonio, who, you talking about polar opposites of each other. Now, these are polar opposites of each other.
All right, we'll stick with wide receivers on the other side. Coming up, are the Giants making the right choice holding on to OBJ? That's next on First Things First.
Yeah, we had some people on this show saying some stupid stuff last week, so we'll correct.